voice carries a little bit more than mine does. So he was yelling, JT, post up. And then we knew we wanted to send her baseline to her right shoulder, and Caitlin just stepped up and helped greatly, perfectly without fouling.
But you go 8 for 8 to start the third quarter, and you go over 7 to finish the game. That's the game of basketball. I understand that, but how did it kind of get away from you there in the fourth quarter?
When we started the third quarter and it's score, they were scoring too. It's not like we never could get away from them and get any separation really. We tried, and then they would go on a run of their own. And then down the stretch, I just thought every time they scored, we got a little bit tighter on the offensive end. We would try to run or execute a set, and their pressure kind of would take us out of it. Instead of letting it, we tried to get Mads on a couple flare screens, Caitlin on a flare screen. Instead of letting that happen, I think JT and Abby tried to drive it instead of letting the action happen. I think Caitlin passed up an open shot and then drives it and takes a more difficult shot. Abby misses a layup at the rim out of the corner. That was probably a good shot for us. But like for us, as bad as we were down the stretch offensively, we just didn't dig our heels in on the defensive end to get any stops. And credit to Rutgers because they just put their head down and drove it down our throat. But for us, we found a way to win, and there's a lot of tape for us to get better.
You talk about maybe playing a little tight down the stretch. This team still needs experience in these situations to really close out those games.
I mean, last year I was just talking to Tim, like it's like very similar, like Nebraska game. We're up 8, and we lose that game, but we found a way to win this game. Same thing at Minnesota, tight game. We lost that game. So maybe there's some growth and some maturity here for us. But, like hats off to Rutgers. I thought they played really, really well. They played extremely hard. And like they just shot the ball really, really well today.
What are you doing better in the turnover department? 12 the other night, 10 tonight.
Shooting it before we turn it over. 63 shot attempts, only 10 turnovers. 16 offensive rebounds. Thought we did a good job on that end. We got to make free throws. We're a better free throw shooting team than that. We got to be able to make free throws and not shy away from those moments. But yeah, I think just a conscious effort in practice and holding each other accountable to making sure we're getting shots up.
You always look at stretches in the Big Ten. I know you're going to play the one game at a time thing, but to get through this early stretch in the Big Ten with these 2 home games with wins before you get into the next stretch of games here, just the importance of having these 2 wins to put in your pocket.
Yeah, obviously, to do anything like in a Big Ten, you got to win your home games. But, I know we can't do anything about that Minnesota game. Like that one was an opportunity for us to be sitting at 3-0, and so we feel like we let that one go. So we got to make sure we find a way to catch or kind of replace that game almost. But it's important to protect your home floor. We're sitting at 2-1. We're going to go on a stretch here where we go, at Maryland, home against Indiana, at Penn State. Home against Iowa, at Penn State, home against Indiana, or I think at Michigan State in that stretch. Like there's some really tough, kind of a little bit of a gauntlet for us. But the next game at Maryland is got to be the only thing on our mind.
Coach, in those moments where, you're getting some, good layup attempts and they're just not falling, what's the biggest key as a player when, you're just not seeing your shots fall in those moments and,
just staying in the moment and trusting your work. As a shooter myself, like there are a lot of games when you start 0 for 2, 0 for 3, you just got to have a short memory. Trust your work. I think Caitlin responded in the second half. I thought she got really frustrated with herself in the first half. So I thought Mila gave us really good minutes there in the first half. And then Caitlin kind of came to in the second half. I thought Sophie and Rashunda on the offensive end were really solid for us in that first half. And I know Sophie doesn't see the floor and Rashunda doesn't see it much in the second half. But I thought they were really solid scoring a basketball for us and kind of making sure we still had a lead at halftime.
Madison Leighton just seems to be that igniter. I mean, when she got those 2 fouls in the second quarter, that was kind of where you started to sort of notice a dip before Sophie and Rashunda kind of picked it up there at the end. What are you looking for your team to do when Madison maybe isn't on the floor contributing what she is doing defensively, maybe getting into foul trouble. Who are you looking to maybe spotlight or have step up in those moments?
I think in those moments it's usually Caitlin or Abby. I think Caitlin just had a tough first half, and I think that's where Soph and Shonda had a really good first half for us of just scoring the basketball. On the flip side, on the defensive end, we were allowing them to score a little bit too easily. But there's just such a calmness about us, especially on the offensive end when Madison's in the game. I thought there in the second quarter, we want to play fast, but we were really sped up with our young babies out there. And I thought in the second half we just controlled pace a little bit better, especially in the third quarter.
8:42 mark, you call a timeout. Seemingly a little frustrated. It looked like. What was going through your mind at that moment? And
8:42, so a minute and 18 seconds in the game, we hadn't executed one thing right defensively that we had talked about for 2 days, and I needed to remind them that was not okay.
Coach, on a lighter note, you wearing your Tim Newton shirt.
Yeah.
You seem to really embrace the school spirit of Purdue. Can you talk about, Tim, why that shirt means so much to you, and why you take so much pride in putting on the Purdue swag, even as a coach, when you see such a stoic, and you're kind of the opposite token when it comes to that.
Yeah, we just love Purdue. Well, all of us on staff, you look, we got 3 people who played here. I believe it. I love Purdue. I love everything about it. I think every single pair of my shoes are black and gold. If you see a black and gold pair that I don't have, I need you to send it to me. I just want to always rep it. And then for Tim, it's not really my size. A lot of us don't. We've got some larges and extra larges on our small kids out there, or our small staff members. I think Mark's is squeezing into an extra large, but it didn't matter. We wanted to make sure we had Tim's. Tim's a part of our program. He always has been, always will be. Just want to make sure we were supporting him the best we could.